Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast, NXT Flavoured Edition. I'm El Fakador Laurie Blake. This is Chopper Pete Quinnell. Please give us a like on the video if you fancy doing it. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below to let us know what you thought of this week's NXT TakeOver Portland. What you think might happen at NXT TakeOver Tampa Bay. Why are you dancing? You're a strong, independent chopper.
Yeah, but...
No dancing unless you want to.
Yeah. There's a t-shirt now, though. Dance Chopper t-shirt.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you could buy that on WrestleTalkMerch.com if you want to support, I guess.
So now I feel like I have to. Now that the t-shirt's there, it's kind of a thing, you know. Now I have to keep doing it.
Coming up on the show, we're going to be talking about an NXT star that has returned to WWE seemingly after asking for her release, Adam Cole wanting to retire Triple H, and also making some very early predictions for NXT TakeOver Tampa Bay. But let's start with the results from last night's episode of NXT, because this was an NXT episode that felt very much like, I guess, a rest show. Like, it was, you've just done a pay-per-view and it was pretty big and everyone really liked it, so could you just have a rest? And these are all the matches that normally would have been filmed in old school NXT style at the event for TakeOver and then just aired the following week's episode.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It was nice to see that it was, even though it was kind of a rest episode, it was still very much an episode of NXT. It wasn't just like, oh, here's some matches that would normally be dark matches, but we're giving them to you because everyone needs a rest. It's like, no, this is a full episode of NXT. It's just not got quite the pomp and circumstance that it normally does on a normal weekly episode, which was fine.
Here's many recap packages.
Yes.
So Jordan Devlin defeated Lio Rush in a Cruiserweight Championship match. The Grizzled Young Vets beat up, who did they beat up? Oh, it was the brilliant tag team of Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde.
Joaquin Wilde,
yeah,
who was doing his best Ant-Man cosplay on his entrance.
Amazing stuff. We had the Broserweights defeat the Hard Bastards, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch in their kind of return to NXT, actually. We had Chelsea Green defeated Caden Carter via way of Robert Stone tripping up Caden Carter.
Bianca Belair.
And Bianca Belair being like, I'm going to do a promo in the middle of your match. I'm going to let you finish. Beyonce had the greatest video of all time. I'm going to let you finish, Taylor. I'm going to let you finish. And as we know from Miss Americana, that really messed up Taylor Swift. Yeah. So I imagine Caden Carter's that's going to be the arc. Netflix documentary, best-selling music career. That's all on the cards for Caden Carter.
Yep.
Velveteen Dream defeated Roderick Strong in the main event as well, which was I think a fairly sloppy match, but it was fine. It built on their feud quite nicely. It seems like Dream's in for some quite big stuff, specifically related to the Undisputed Era, so that's really cool. But let's start with the kind of, let's go into the main topic of discussion, because there was news a few weeks ago that Taynara Conti was like another...
AKA Taynara.
Oh yes, sorry.
Minus the Conti.
Her real name, Taynara. She was unhappy. She'd had a sort of dispute with WWE management. She'd asked for her release. And not many people really ask for their release from NXT. See, like, people stick around for, like, if your name's Aaliyah, you're there forever. That's it. She must have signed the worst contract of all time because she cannot get out of it.
No, exactly.
She is locked in there until the day she dies.
She's like, 10 years? Yes, please.
Yeah, sign me up for some of that. Will I ever? But I won't be featured or a main eventer, or I'll just lose to people. They'll pretend to break my. What do you mean? Oh well, fine, whatever.
Well, I've already signed it. It's fine.
Poor old Aaliyah. Anyway, so Taynara Conti was unhappy. Apparently, asked for her release.
Well, the details were a bit hazy about that, because it was like, well, she walked out of a contract negotiation meeting or something, or she asked for a release. Her locker was supposedly cleared out. It was like, is she gone? Is she not? Has she asked for a release? Did she just walk out? Did she walk out of the company? Did she walk out of the meeting? It was really kind of hazy with what the details are. So, but now it seems we have a little bit more clarity.
Yeah, so this whole walkout thing happened around the time they were doing the Women's Battle Royal before to decide who would... Well, it was kind of just before the Royal Rumble, wasn't it? And it was like Baszler had the big run in it, and who won that match?
Bianca Belair.
Bianca Belair to become number one contender for Rhea Ripley at Portland. When it was the confusing time where it was like we're building two different things. So we had all of that, but Taynara wasn't in that match, which was like you're using 15 women on your 16-woman roster. It's a bit weird that she's not here, but Jessie Camilla is, or Deonna Purrazzo, who we've never seen. Like, these people are in the match. That all happens. Then there was reports that she appeared on a house show in Fort Pierce. She was teaming with MJ Jenkins and Jessica Mia versus, who was she against? It was the brilliantly amazing team of Aoife Valkyrie, who is Valkyrie from Ireland, who's on NXT UK, Mia Yim and Rita Reese, who, love to tell you.
Bless you.
Love to tell you. Rita Reese's Pieces. And they didn't win their match, but she was wearing a top that said released on it. Which obviously plays into the whole new cycle of wrestlers leaving things. Yeah. Then after that, she's changed her whole Twitter profile as well. Her Twitter profile, she's deleted everything she ever posted on Twitter, and she's only now posting things as Tainara released version, released beast version, where she's now her profile picture is her in this released top with handcuffs on, and then other pictures of her with the handcuffs taken off. Yeah. She's posting emojis, hurricane emoji.
So she's going to be teaming with the Hurricane.
Unlocked lock emoji.
She's going to
Chris Masters.
Unlocked,
the Master Lock.
Yeah.
So it's what is happening? Because then also the reports from last night's NXT come out that she wrestled a dark match where she teamed with Deonna Purrazzo, I guess one of the most well-known members of NXT, Deonna Purrazzo, against Candice LeRae and Kacy Catanzaro. Kacy Catanzaro obviously in need of a friend. Candice LeRae says, "I'll be your mate," stepping in. So it seems like she's still very much listed as on the roster. She's still very much a member of the NXT team. Are they just playing everyone with this whole released thing?
Yeah, it seems really strange because it seems like it's almost her entire gimmick now is I was released, lol. Except she wasn't because she's still wrestling in NXT. So the whole release thing, I don't know whether it's just capitalizing or maybe that whole walkout thing didn't happen at all. It was a false report that someone put out. Maybe it was an actual report that WWE themselves leaked to the dirt sheets to try and create this gimmick for her, whatever the gimmick may be. And now they're just kind of working everyone and going with it and just being like, yeah, she did have that whole walk out of that meeting one time, but now it's her gimmick is that she walks out of meetings. I don't know where this is going.
You can't keep her in a meeting, Chopper. That's it. Court appearance, I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
child alimony payments, I'm out of here. You can't keep Tainara in here. I don't want to be here.
Exactly. So I don't know where it's going at all. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know her gimmick. I don't get it at all. But it seems like she's not actually been released and she is still wrestling on NXT. So I'm assuming if we're going to see more of this new gimmick, in quotation marks, then I'm sure we're going to be seeing it in the weeks to come.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's there's the argument to be made that maybe they're not doing anything and maybe she's just having fun because she's coming to the end of a contract. You know, you're an independent contractor anyway, so you're not really employed at the company. So you can kind of do what you like. Maybe she's coming to the end of her tenure there of you've got this last few dates to sort of appear on and then we'll let you go. Because to do this sort of wholesale change, but then only do it in house shows and it not be on TV, maybe they're trying a gimmick. They obviously do that a lot with different people's gimmicks. They'll test them at various house shows, take people away for a couple of weeks, bring them back with another new gimmick. Yeah. So maybe this is part of that. I don't know. What was her gimmick before? Was
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
First of all, it was that she was a judoka. She liked judo, not jiu-jitsu, wasn't it?
I don't know. I think
it's judo.
I think she's really good at two things. It was two different martial arts. One she was a black belt in, and one she was a blue belt or something. Also, she was Brazilian. That was her gimmick for a bit. Was just being Brazilian. So
like Ronaldo.
Yeah, just like Ronaldo. Her and Ronaldo are the same person.
Cool. That makes it much easier in my filing system in my brain. Much easier to sort. So she didn't really have that was her gimmick for a bit, and then her gimmick was talking about how hot she is on Twitter for a while.
Yeah, a little bit.
And going look at my butt. That was a thing for a while. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is more of a gimmick than that, I'd say.
Yeah, I guess so.
Being I'm an unleashed hurricane or
an unlocked wind. I don't know what her thing is.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Trapped wind. Maybe that's what it was all about.
She just had trapped wind. We've cracked the code.
She's farted, and that's the end of it.
It's the flatulence gimmick. It's come back again.
Oh, that's it. Well, you got to go through it, don't you?
Yeah, of course. Everyone does.
The trial by farting. Looking for a pun there. Didn't find it.
No.
Said farting. Is it equally as funny?
Maybe.
Moving on, though, to... I guess what's interesting about that is that it seems like NXT isn't quite as dramatic as the main roster in that terms. Like, Tegan Nox is probably one of the first people that's ever been reported to be like really unhappy working in NXT.
It's true.
And then it all seems seemingly resolved within a matter of weeks. We're still talking about the Revival not wanting to be on the main roster. Like, this is like 2 years later now. Like, we are so far down the line. The Revival.
Several years later.
Yeah, but it is. It's like they were talking about wanting to leave before, like when AEW had All In the first time.
Yeah.
Like it's mad to think we're still this far down the line and they still don't want to be there and they're still being made to be there and we're only now coming to the end of their contract.
And they're still getting ridiculous amounts of money offered to them and they're still turning it down. Yeah, it's nuts. It's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. Whereas Tenara is just like, you can wear a t-shirt. Just stay.
Here's some handcuffs.
Here's some, maybe that's the thing, you don't see off screen that she is actually handcuffed to a radiator in the performance center the rest of the time. Someone who isn't handcuffed to a radiator, I guess, is Adam Cole, because why wouldn't you want to be there? Because you're the NXT champion. And now probably the greatest one ever, as far as he's concerned.
Definitely the longest reigning, because the next time he defends his title will probably be after he beats Finn Balor's tenure for the longest reigning ever NXT champion. So that will be a nice little feather in his cap. Which I'm really annoyed I didn't predict Cole for TakeOver, because that makes so much sense. Of course they want to have Adam Cole be the longest reigning NXT champion ever. Of course they want to do that, and then they could build that into an eventual Adam Cole versus Finn Balor feud, because Balor can be like, well, you took my record as longest reigning NXT champ, well, I'm going to take that from you, etc. I really wish I'd predicted Adam Cole.
We'll come back to these predictions as well, because I think that's important to talk about, because I would like to make some really early predictions for NXT TakeOver Tampa Bay.
We'll do that.
But one thing that came out about Adam Cole this week was that he had an interview with Steel Chair magazine, and they asked, would you like to retire Triple H? I assume they asked. I'm sure he didn't just bring up, I want to retire Triple H. Like, just doing a Matt Riddle, just like, I'm just going to name someone. See if they get in trouble.
Yeah.
You never know. They might give you the tag titles. Do what they like in NXT. So Adam Cole is asked, would you like to retire Triple H? And he says, I'm going to read it from here. Anybody on our roster would agree we all idolized Triple H or Shawn Michaels as kids, and now we've grown up, we're working together with them. We're really getting to see their minds and not only how smart they are, but how much they absolutely love this job. I wouldn't pass that up for the world. That absolutely is something that I would love to do. I know many NXT talents feel the same way, and I definitely know a bunch of fans would love it.
They would.
Yeah.
One of them is this guy right here. I would absolutely love that, especially if it was like a WrestleMania or maybe like a TakeOver. That would be awesome. See Triple H wrestle on a TakeOver, and it's his final match ever. It's kind of like the final kind of NXT's my baby kind of thing.
I've given my all to it now.
Exactly, yeah. So this is where I'm going to end my career. This is where I'm planting my flag. This is my thing that I've built from kind of the ground up. And Adam Cole retiring him would be, again, he's already going to be the longest reigning NXT champ ever. Retiring Triple H, add that little feather in your cap, and then go on to the main roster where he's already beaten Daniel Bryan, where he's already... Did he beat Seth Rollins? I feel like he did. I don't know.
No, it was very close.
It was close, that's right.
Very close.
Yeah.
You can't beat Seth Rollins.
Yeah, of course not.
That would be ridiculous.
But then even having those kind of feats on the main roster and recognizing such a recognized name on the main roster like Triple H, to be able to have all of that momentum to kind of guide him on to success on the main roster, I think would be absolutely amazing. I now don't want any other way for Triple H to end his career than for Adam Cole to retire him, because that would be so good, because they're obviously so close together in NXT, and especially when they had the NXT invasion on SmackDown after that Saudi Arabia show when everyone got stranded, they were like, NXT and Survivor Series, let's bring them all on SmackDown. And it was like Triple H calling in Adam Cole, being like, hey champ, come over here and face Daniel Bryan. And Adam Cole was like, hey man, yeah, I can do that, I'm NXT champion. They've obviously got a really close relationship going on, and I think it would be really cool from a behind-the-scenes perspective and from a fan perspective just watching the show to be able to have that kind of interaction between them in a match. I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd like it. I guess the good thing about the way WWE does retirement matches for people is that basically everyone could have a go before he actually retires. If you just do an Undertaker, you just keep going. It's like Roman Reigns, I'll give the rub. Maybe it's AJ this time. Who knows? It could be anyone. So yeah, I mean, Adam Cole could definitely have a bash at the Triple H retirement. He could, I don't know, like what would Triple H leave in the ring to signal his? He only really wears trunks. Just
sledgehammer?
takes his trunks off.
Takes his trunks
in the ring. Walks out bollock naked. Just covering himself with the end of a sledgehammer as he goes. But like, so yeah, I think I like the idea of. I think what's cool about the Adam Cole Triple H matchup in that sense. Like, I think I would love to see Adam Cole retire Triple H because I think Adam Cole feels like the most similar person to Shawn Michaels that WWE currently has. Like, I think they've got a very similar look. They've got a very similar style of wrestling. And I think as characters, they portray themselves quite similarly to it in both their heel incarnations. So it'd be quite cool to do a, like master and protege thing with those two that has it flipped.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, that's kind of what DX was like the older statesman of Shawn Michaels taking Triple H under his wing, and they become a big thing, and then they had all their feuds and split up and got back together again and split up and got back together again. To see that from the other perspective where Triple H gets to be sensei and Adam Cole is the young Padawan, that would be much more interesting to me.
That's
I have just
really
mixed
cool.
a load of master and sort of trainee metaphors there. I'm really sorry.
But I think it would be even cooler than that. Throw Shawn Michaels in as a special guest ref. Why not? He loves doing that anyway. Does it all the time for Triple H matches. Just throw him in there, add an extra layer onto it, because then it'd be like Adam Cole and Shawn Michaels are like, it's like the Spider-Man meme of them pointing at each other.
Master Sensei, Master Sensei, Master Padawan Sensei, Master.
Padawan.
It all goes around in a big circle.
Yeah, I think it would be great. There's so many different ways you could play off that interaction. Have Shawn Michaels come into Triple H before and just be like, do you really want to put your career on the line against this guy? And he's like, hey man, he reminds me of you, and blah, blah, blah. I want it. I want it really bad now.
I think I don't really know who else I would have retire Triple H.
I know, apart from The Undertaker.
It'll be autumn. I mean, it'll be autumn, won't it? Like, it's going to be autumn somewhere down the line.
Oh God, yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? But Adam Cole, though.
I know. Well, I mean, I think it should be an NXT guy.
Yes.
Because I just think that would be so much more interesting. And I think with Adam Cole, they just clearly still have really big plans for him because he's now the only member of the Undisputed Era to have a belt anymore.
Exactly.
He came out at the beginning of this week's episode of NXT to put over himself, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
We sort of skimmed over what happened with the rest of them.
Kyle O'Reilly, on their group entrance, went to go play his NXT title and then realized he didn't have it in perfect Kyle O'Reilly fashion. Just went and go. Proper like sad face as he walks through. It was perfect. So good.
Yeah. So we've skimmed over the fact that actually they lost more belts than they retained at NXT TakeOver. I mean, the tag belts, you could argue they count as one. It's two belts. So they did really take 2 steps back and 1 step forward there. Yeah. But he puts himself over as the greatest NXT champion ever. It seems like Ciampa's being dragged in a different direction as well because he's got this whole thing with Austin Theory that came out of the promo section where Ciampa comes out to talk about what happened with Johnny Gargano at Portland. And that feels like the feud, right? Like that feels like the big feud that they're keeping us away from right now. Like the showdown between Ciampa and Johnny feels like it's the thing that they're going to build to. And that will build into the WrestleMania. We finally get the final chapter of Ciampa and Gargano. But Austin Theory will do for a couple of weeks as like,
for sure.
I'm going to chuck you around at ringside. I mean, when Austin Theory signed up for that, I bet he wasn't like, yeah, just do it 20 times. Whatever, man.
Just
like,
literally keep going.
If you just keep going, I can take more. Because at the end of it, he was just like,
he doesn't have her back anymore.
So yeah, that feels like where Ciampa's going. So it leaves Adam Cole wide open for NXT TakeOver Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So let's get into the predictions.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be Finn Balor.
So do I.
Yeah, because Finn Balor cut a promo this week saying, I've made all my predictions. I was right. I told you all to watch out for me. I beat Johnny Gargano at Portland. Check out next week for the next installment of Finn Balor being awesome, pretty much. And I think it's going to be a reveal that he really wants the NXT Championship.
Well, also because, he's had that NXT Championship match before with Adam Cole, and he lost because Johnny interrupted.
Absolutely.
So Johnny is now done. We've done a Johnny. We've finished Johnny. We've moved on from Johnny because Johnny got beat at Portland. So Johnny is now like, in wrestling storytelling terms, that's a line drawn under Gargano.
Absolutely.
So we come round, and I feel like, Finn Balor versus Adam Cole at the Mania event for NXT is money.
What a bloody match that's going to be.
Because also it builds in, like, it has baked into it, even if they don't touch on it as a storytelling point, like, it has baked into it the fact that Finn Balor might just take control of the Undisputed Era. Like, in my head, I'm just like, but he might just do that. Or he might debut his own, like, Balor Club, Bullet Club, Dewberry Watson.
You're obsessed with that, aren't you? You've predicted that quite a few times.
I just think it's going to happen at some point. I just think he's not going to remain a singles, like just a lone wolf competitor for ages.
I think he could. I think he could because he's being well booked enough that people are scared of him and people are threatened by him as a singles wrestler. I'm not a huge fan of every heel having a faction behind them because that's the problem that the main roster gets into a lot. Is you have a lone babyface, let's say Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins
versus
when he was a babyface, versus a bunch of people because you can't have one good heel against one good babyface. It has to be the numbers game all the time. I'd really like it if Finn Balor stayed by himself to just prove that, like, I'm awesome. I can literally beat anyone by myself. I don't need anyone's help. I think it would be good, at least for, like, maybe another year, I think, in NXT. He can just stay by himself, just clean up everyone, be awesome, maybe get the NXT Championship, and then when it looks like he's kind of on the cusp of losing it, then a new Balor Club comes in, and that's how he extends his reign artificially a little bit longer, and then he can eventually lose it, despite the numbers game.
But like I said, the teaser's still there.
The teaser's there.
Yeah, it goes without sort of saying that might be a thing that happens. I think Adam Cole versus Finn Balor is definitely one of the matches that will happen at Tampa Bay. Ciampa Gargano, final chapter, sweet release, whatever it's called.
The match we never got at NXT TakeOver New York.
That thing you wanted that time, the match. That'll happen. I feel like, I was going to say Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, but they've got a steel cage match in 2 weeks' time. But that doesn't feel like the end of the feud to me. I feel like that's going to run and run. We've got Keith Lee, Dijakovic, I think. I think what's going to happen now
final chapter.
I think, because this week Keith Lee comes out to cut a promo in NXT Interruption Edition. Kona Reeves comes out.
Kona Reeves of all people.
And welcome back, welcome, piss off. So he comes back, gets pounced, gets jackhammered in a really quick match. Then Dijakovic comes out and interrupts the rest of the promo and says, I had you beat, but my back broke.
I had you beat, but you also won.
I
had you beat.
It's a wonderful argument. I love it. I think it's a flawless, you can't defend against that argument. It's like, I had you beat, but my back did it to myself. I did it to myself.
Yeah, literally, because if I didn't, that Spanish Fly was supposed to beat you, and it didn't.
Not only did I beat you, I beat me.
Yeah.
At the same time.
I beat myself. Wait.
Yeah, there you go. I beat myself many times over that match. So, he comes out and says, I had you beat, etc. Keith's like, well, that's not a fact of it because actually I won. If you go back and look at the results, I won actually. And then he says, but people always chant fight forever when we get into the ring.
And that was perfectly timed, by the way. The crowd was so into it, just being like, and every time we fight, I always hear. And the crowd instantly just started going, fight forever. And he didn't cue them up for it. He didn't say it first or anything. It was like the crowd just knew what was coming and preemptively started chanting fight forever. I was like, are they in on this promo? Yeah, Did they get a script before the show
It's good they didn't do something else like, oh, basking is glory. Or like, how you doing? Like, just did anything else on the crowd repertoire? Like, what? They could have done anything. It's good to the crowd. But he says, like, let's go. He says, like, if you can get people into it, I'll happily fight forever. So I think for the next, like, month and a bit that they've got, Dijakovic is going to go on a tear,
a murder spree,
like a tear through the North American title picture to be like, you want to see me and Keith Lee face off? I'm going to make that like the only thing you want to see. While Keith has Keith maybe has like 2 challenges in the next month and a half, and then gets that big match with Dijakovic. But I think that's a match that deserves a big WrestleMania level spot.
Totally.
Where I come a bit of a cropper in terms of what will be on this takeover is because, like, I think also you'll get Jordan Devlin defending the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, probably on the pre-show. You might get Roderick Strong versus Velveteen Dream, or Dream versus some member of the Undisputed Era. What's going to happen with the women's title, though?
Well, they did confirm on this week that it is definitely going to be Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
TakeOver's the night before, so you wouldn't think that Ripley's going to defend it the night before. Bianca Belair might be getting involved somewhere in that. It might be a triple threat. It might be Bianca versus Charlotte at TakeOver.
Ooh,
I don't know.
That would be interesting.
That would be really
That's
cool.
the one I think is most likely, because she was like, I don't care if it's here or there, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, and she could say that. I think that's something you could bring up again and again and again until Charlotte goes like, it's not here or there. It's in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah, I'd really like it if they did.
Paradise. Tampa Bay.
If they did Bianca versus Charlotte, winner faces Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania the following night, you could have a really cool match between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte will win it, probably. You have that pre-announced Rhea versus Charlotte singles match at Mania. I think that's a cool way to elevate Bianca Belair without undermining the Royal Rumble winning factor of it.
Yeah.
And Charlotte still gets a shot at WrestleMania, but Rhea Ripley beats her.
Well, because Charlotte's an ego monster as well as
Yeah.
a character, so like, I think she could easily be like, yeah, I could beat Bianca Belair and then beat Rhea Ripley. Of course I could. I'm Charlotte. Like, there's a lot.
Babyface
There's
Charlotte
there's a lot to do. Well, babyface.
Babyface Charlotte Flair.
Charlotte. I think Charlotte Flair is an anomaly. She exists outside of heeldom and facedom.
She's in her own ethereal pocket.
She's the third, the lesser known third character of wrestling. Not the babyface nor the heel. The lesser known fourth character, not even the tweener. She's just a Flair.
Yes.
That's it. She's just a Flair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be really interested to see if they even do one that night, because Rhea's, like, I think they'll build Rhea's match so big for WrestleMania that they won't have her compete at TakeOver, but they might do. What's the other big thing that the women's division can do? What's the other big thing that, like, you know, because there's all these people like Io Shirai. What are they going to do? Are we going to get Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, the finale crazy? Yeah. Like, what's the most extreme match that they can have? Because they've done a cage, they've done a street fight by then. Like,
could do a last woman standing, something like that, or an Iron Woman match.
A two-person War Games match.
Well, one person.
Look at all this space for activities.
Starts off with just one person for 5 minutes, just standing in the ring waiting for the other person.
The
to
match
leave
will
their
start
cage.
when there is another person. Yeah.
So I think they could do that.
Or tiny cage.
Or a tiny cage.
Like just
a shark cage.
The cage that they start the War Games match in. The cage that Dakota Kai kicked Tegan Nox into and slammed her feet into.
That's
the match in that cage.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
I love it.
For tag championships, though.
Hire me.
For tag championships, I think it's going to be Broserweights versus Grizzled Young Vets.
Yep, I think that too.
I would love to see. I think that's going to be an awesome
Well,
match.
I think that's got all the baked in story as well, because you've got Pete Dunne.
Baked. Matt Riddle. Baked.
Sake.
See, I'm part of the Broserweights. Sign me up.
That's it. Jesus Christ. Yeah, but you've got Pete Dunne, Zach Gibson, and all their history with Zach Gibson winning the second UK tournament and challenging Pete Dunne for the title when he was, you know, still the longest reigning WWE champion there's ever been.
Yep.
You've got them in the Dusty Cup, coming very close. I don't know. Gibson and Drake and Riddle need to get some.
Yeah, I think
thing going, because there's a lot between Gibson and Dunne.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a lot of time to build that story in. And
maybe just be about their hair.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Luscious locks.
Yeah.
I've got better hair. Well,
I'm sure he can make some crappy rhyme that would come up on the TakeOver screen with a little sing-along thing like he did for Bobby Fish. I'm sure he can make one of them about James Drake.
Well, I didn't like that this week where he was like, the Stallion Cup violated a wellness policy and is out for 30 days. I'm getting a bit... I didn't find it like amazingly funny before.
No.
It feels a bit too Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I'm not as into it as I think a lot of other people are. I still like them as a team, but just not maybe as much as other people.
I prefer them doing the matches to doing the talk.
Matches are very good.
Yeah.
Really like their matches.
Really are. Their match this week was really, really good.
Yeah. And Grizzled Young Vets on this week's episode of NXT, they beat the team of Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde. And Frank and team of those two. And then Zach Gibson cut a very quick promo after, just being like, Liverpool's number one, I'm great, we're great, soon to be the world's number one. So it looks like they're going to be kind of built in the next few weeks to maybe become number one contenders for Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne, which I would be well into for TakeOver Tampa.
Because also seemingly they've moved near permanently to NXT now.
Yeah,
it was like they said there was a tweet by WWE said that like NXT UK posted a tweet saying like we know all about these guys, but you need to be ready and watch out. Like maybe they've moved over. Maybe it's just a short sprint like Moustache Mountain did, and then they'll go back to NXT UK.
And they still had an NXT UK nameplate when they came out in this week, so it looks like they're still UK based. Maybe they're just going to do the run up to Tampa, and then after that they'll jump ship back to NXT UK. I don't know, but if they are doing the run in NXT, I'm looking forward to it because I really like all of their matches because they're really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to be building that match in particular, that's already the matches that we've just predicted. That is a stacked card already for Tampa. Some may say stacked. And it could even be, though, I know we've predicted Cole versus Balor. They could be building Dream versus Cole.
I did think that too, yeah.
For TakeOver Tampa as
he
well.
He pulls off Marina's face from his tights, and then underneath it's Roddy's face. Underneath it's Carl's face. Underneath it's Bobby's face. Underneath it's Adam Cole. Underneath is his dick. I think Dream and the Undisputed Era feels like that final image of the show this week where Dream ekes out a win over Roderick Strong by splashing onto the entire Undisputed Era. Countering a cheap shot, hitting the Dream Valley Driver and picking up the really close win. And then they beat him down and stand tall over a guy who's been out for 5 months at their hands, has a back problem because of them. That also feels like a very big story that they could do.
For sure.
So it really depends on what happens with Balor next week because there's some very good options for Adam Cole at Tampa Bay.
I don't think there's very many good options for Finn Balor, though. If he doesn't go for the NXT Championship, who's he gonna go for? Dream? Like that? He's still got stuff with Undisputed Era. What other top babyfaces are there? Like Ciampa, he's caught up with Gargano. Keith Lee, but he's kind of doing the Dijak thing.
Yeah. Well, unless that's a swerve.
I don't know.
Unless that's a swerve.
Possibly,
and then it's he goes round the division trying to drum up the support, and then Balor just comes in and just cuts him off at the knees.
Kills him. Yeah, and then you have Lee versus Balor. Now I've said that out loud, I kind of want that more.
I mean, Balor is going to get more.
It'd be so good. Just imagine him going for a coup de grace and Keith Lee just catching him out of mid-edge. Nope.
By the ankle.
Yeah, just catching him. No, absolutely not. SWAT.
I'd love it.
So good. Imagine how far he could pounce him. Oh, so far. Just so far.
Go back to Ireland!
That would be amazing. I now want that really badly.
There you go. I think there's a lot of good options. They've got a lot of great players. My only big confusion is what's going to happen with the women's title because of the Charlotte match and their inability to build actively to two pay-per-views at one time.
Yes, that's true.
Especially if they're on the same weekend, that's really, really hard. Well, that's all we got time for on this week's edition of the WrestleTalk podcast, NXT Flavoured Edition. I've been El Faker Dollar Obate. This has been Chopper Pete Quinnell. Please click the videos that have appeared on the desk right now to watch more awesome WrestleTalk things. That was NXT.